The rise to city status was inevitable. There was ready work supplying Fort York's garrison. Innkeepers, merchants, tradesmen had gravitated to the settlement. Roads that reached out to farms and villages brought trade to town. New ventures prospered.
Well, William Lyon Mackenzie was concerned about the cost of paper for his colonial advocate newspaper, and he petitioned the government to create a monetary award to whoever would establish the first functioning paper mill in Upper Canada. A number of people rose to that challenge, among them Eastwood and Skinner, who were residents of what was now known as Todmorden. It had formerly been known as the Don Mills, and they quickly converted an existing grist mill into a paper mill.
Today, archaeologists are on site, using pottery, coins and original drain pipes as clues in their search for buildings lost or buried since the early days of John Graves Simcoe.
And that's about where I'm expecting to see it.
The site is actually a very large site. We have a 9.2 hectare wildflower preserve, which is currently being renaturalized to pre-European contact. We have a theater and gallery complex, which is part of the former paper mill that started here in the 1820s. We have 2 historic homes built in the 1830s, and we also have part of what used to be a very large brewery and distillery complex.
Simcoe would be long gone by March the 6th of 1834, when Little York finally came of age. For the future city's name, the fathers went to the past and decided on Toronto.
William Lyon Mackenzie was the first mayor of Toronto and also a prolific journalist and editor, well known for being expelled from Parliament 5 times. When he starts, there's nothing here, there's no city structure, he's the first. So he has to start from scratch, basically. He finds a location for a fire department, which hadn't existed previously. He founds a police force. He builds sidewalks, and he creates a lot of city bylaws. For someone who's considered a rebel, he did believe in the importance of a good government structure.
Good government, but also representative government. Just 3 years after Toronto was born, the great reformer rallied a rebel force at Montgomery's Tavern on December the 7th, 1837. They planned to seize the provincial government. Loyalist troops showed up and Mackenzie fled to New York State. In time, reform would come to Upper Canada and to the city of Toronto. Years later, when Mackenzie returned, his friends pooled their money and bought him this house.
Mackenzie did not come back apologetic when he was pardoned. He came back in the full force of his opinion and was elected to the legislature, bumping George Brown for the seat, and also started a newspaper. By 1860, he was starting to be in poor health, and he dies in 1861. He'd survived cholera, he'd survived a couple of attempts on his life, and he'd survived the rebellion, so he lived a full lifespan. And when he dies, his funeral procession outside his house is a half-mile long. Even his enemies, even the people who loathe him, turn out to his funeral.
And I can imagine the crowd that would have been here, because by 1861, people had started to realize how important this man was to the growth of the city, the early growth of the city. And I can only imagine standing here and being surrounded by hundreds of people that had come to pay their last respects to Toronto's very first mayor.
2 of Mackenzie's loyal supporters, Matthews and Lount, did not escape. Caught by the Loyalist troops, they were hanged near the jail that once stood across the street from the King Edward Hotel, and then buried here in the necropolis. The broken monument is a graphic illustration of their lives cut short. In later years, they too would be recognized as patriots. For more information, visit our website on topoftheworld.net.